All right, we've been on this subject on G10. G10. And we're going to be there again. And I want to bring this teaching and make it as clear, real as possible. And I will try as much as possible not to even rush through it. Okay? So, some of those commandments, we may not be able to finish them in a meeting. So I will not hesitate to stop and then continue and give part 2 because I don't want us to rush them. Okay? So, you need to bear with me. I don't know how long this series is going to take, but we will go through it. Is that okay? So, in this service today, we're going to be talking about the second commandment. Is that okay? So, let's read our Bible this morning from Exodus chapter 20. And then we read from verse 4. That's where we have the second commandment. Verse 4 of Exodus 20. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. So that is actually the second commandment. Praise the Lord. All right. So, in America, there is one professional baseball team called St. Louis Cardinal. It's a professional baseball team in America. St. Louis Cardinal. St. Louis is one of the cities in the states of Kansas in America. So they have a baseball team called St. Louis Cardinal. This team was bought over by a man called August Bush in 1953, February 28th precisely, 1953. August Bush bought over this baseball team, all right, St. Louis Cardinal. And then after buying over this team, the next thing he did was to embark on a mission. He decided to build a baseball stadium. All right, a baseball stadium. Now, after the completion of the stadium, he now attempted to name the stadium, to give it a name. And the name he proposed was Budweiser. How many of you have heard Budweiser before? What do you think Budweiser is? Talk to me very well. What do you think Budweiser is? Budweiser, that's the name of a beer. Beer that you drink. Not the beer in the bush. Beer that you drink. Alcohol. So the city kicked against it. That he cannot name a stadium after a beer. So they kick against it. So after that, he now changed his mind and named that stadium after his family. So he gave the stadium his family name. And he called it Bush Memorial Stadium. B-U-S-C-H. You would go check that. Bush Memorial Stadium. That was the name he gave to that stadium. And then, of course, the city accepted that. But you know what he did? As soon as the stadium was open, this man was a rich man. As soon as the stadium was open, he introduced, and of course, the name of the stadium is now Bush Memorial Stadium. He introduced a beer into the market and called the name of the beer Bush Lager Beer. You didn't get what I've just said now. They say you cannot name a stadium after a beer. So he named the stadium after his family and then introduced a beer and named the beer after his family. Anyhow, the stadium is connected with a beer. I really don't understand his love for beer, that it has to be connected to a beer. But you see, I gave you this story to reveal something to you about the human nature. The human nature doesn't like to be told what to do. That's the human nature for you. Whenever there is an instruction, the tendency is always there for the human nature to always look for a way to go around it. We are always looking for ways to pick out loopholes in law so that we can beat that law. That is the human tendency for you. We don't want to be told what to do, what not to do. And give a man an instruction. He's looking for a way to beat that instruction. He's looking for a way to go around that order. It's a tendency that must be conquered, otherwise you will not live a successful life. Because the truth about the matter is that in life, there are laws you cannot break. There are laws you cannot go around. In fact, attempting to break some law, you end up breaking yourself. So you will need to train yourself to learn to comply with established laws. It's a training you have to give yourself. It does not come natural with human. The human tendency is always to look for loopholes around law. So you have to intentionally train yourself to be a law-abiding person. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. You have to. It's a training you have to give yourself to learn to obey laws. There are natural laws, there are physical laws, there are societal laws that you will need to train yourself to obey. Yes. If you are going to be successful. Yeah. Because it's not every law that can be broken. Now, do you know that it is impossible for a society to maintain its peace and order where there is no adherence to established laws? It's not possible. It's not possible. So, if a society therefore decides or desire to have peace and order, then the citizen must train themselves to abide by law. Wherever there is a breakdown of law, there will be a breakdown of order. Is it true? Yes. So, for peace to reign in a society, people must learn to abide by laws. People must learn to obey laws. Some of these laws, when you look at them, they may be weird. But for as long as they have come to stand as law, we must train ourselves to obey them, except the ones that contradict the direction God is giving to us. Because there are weird laws. We may not have them here, but there are weird laws. For instance, in a city called Dodge is one of the cities in the state of Missouri. In that city, it is illegal for you to spit on the sidewalk. I mean, you are walking on the road and you do prayer. On your way to Kuje prison, I'm telling you. Okay, they don't have Kuje there. Whatever they call it, you're on your way there. You don't spit on the sidewalk in that place. The law was established around the 19th or 20th century, thereabout, to prevent the spread of infectious disease, especially tuberculosis. So what they did was to now station spittings inside public places. So if you want to spit, you have to hold it till you enter public places where there are spitting, and then you do that there. You don't come and tell us that you are pregnant. You better hold your cup in your hand. It's weird, but it's a law. I really don't know how strong that law is being enforced now, but once upon a time, it was a law. And I don't know whether it's still a law. What I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, when you stay in a society and the society will enjoy peace and order, the people in that society must be willing and be ready to adhere to established laws. Laws makes for peace. Law makes for order in a community. Imagine Nigeria where there is no law and everybody just wake up and just do what is right in his own eyes. What kind of a society do you think we will succeed in creating for ourselves? I'm sure you don't want to live in that kind of a society. When what I feel is right is what I do. Because as I'm feeling now, it is right for me to collect that pastor his phone. He just bought one phone and I love that phone. That's how I'm feeling. So, for peace and order, there must be adherence to established laws. One of the areas of life, personally, that I desire so much peace and order is in my family. That's one of the areas of life where I desire so much peace and order. My greatest ambition in life is to raise a family that love God and love one another. That's my greatest desire in life. That my family love the Lord and they love one another is one of my greatest desire. Look, ladies and gentlemen, that family love one another should not be taken for granted. If you have ever experienced what is called sibling rivalry before, you will understand how deadly it can be. If you don't know anyone, go read about Cain and Abel. So when you raise a family that love the Lord and love one another, you are one of the most blessed person here on earth. And that is one of my greatest desire. So my life scriptures, which I love so much, is Psalm 128 from verse 1 to 3. Blessed is the man that fear the Lord. All right. It said, and it talks about, it said, happy shall he be, it shall be well with him. Thou shalt eat of the fruit of thy labor and all that. Your wife shall be like holy round about our table, and your children shall be like a fruitful vine around your heart, and stuff like that. That's what I desire. One verse of scripture that also portrays my heart desire is 3 John 4, which says that my greatest desire, all right, is to see my children walk in the truth. That's one thing I love so much. 3 John 4, give me that. All right, look at this. Say, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in the truth. That's my desire. All right? And that's the reason why, personally, I don't measure success by the B's. You know what the B's are? The B's are the brain. The B's, the bulk. The B's, the beauty. I don't measure success by that. Are you following me? I don't measure success not by box, not by the amount of money we have. I don't measure success by the brain, not by how much school you go to. I don't measure success by how beautiful you think you are. That is for me, that is not my criteria for measuring success. For me, having a family that love one another and love the Lord is one of the major elements that I consider as a successful, as a sign of successful living. That's how I measure success. And I believe also that many of you share this same thing with me. You also desire peace in your home. You desire to raise a family, all right, that love God and love one another. And God desires the same thing with you. But remember what I've just said. Now, anywhere you see peace, there must be adherence to established laws. So God wanted us to have peace in our home, like we desire. What he has done is to give us certain commandments, certain laws, that if we can obey this law, the peace that we so desire will become a reality. Please understand, the 10 commandments, they were primarily given for families. Primarily. So when you read your Bible very well, you will get to the point after God has given them the commandment, he now instructed the father to ensure that this commandment, they are taught to their children. It's primarily given to families. Because God knows that it is by this commandment that we can be able to raise a family that will enjoy the peace that God desires for us. Except members of the family makes the commandment their rallying point, peace will always elude that family. And please understand, God's commandments, they are not arbitrary. Arbitrary in the sense that when you say law is arbitrary, a law is arbitrary when that law is left to a person's discretion or prejudice. But that's not an arbitrary law. Regardless of who you are bound to keep that law. Because they are not suggestions. They are not 10 suggestions. They are not 10 expressions of opinion. They are 10 commandments. Not suggestions. Are you following me? If you are in Nigeria here and you are driving on the road, you drive on the, is it left side? How do we drive now? Right side. Is it right? Yeah, and you say you are driving, you don't know this thing. Okay, you believe we drive by the right. Let me see your hand. Okay, you believe we drive by the left. Let me see your hand. There's problem. Oh. Hey. Oh boy. Oh. Hey, is it English that is confusing us like this? All right. Hey. I didn't believe that we have this kind of debate over left and right driving. No. I didn't believe that. Okay, everybody go and find out. That's your assignment. So let me hold my peace here. However you like, drive. When they pick you, you will know the correct way to drive. But the point I want to establish is this. Driving left or right is an arbitrary law. Depends on where you are. Because if you drive here in Nigeria, there is a side where you drive. But if you move from Nigeria and you go to UK, you go to Europe like that, you don't drive the way you drive in Nigeria. I'm sure you know. Go find out whether they also drive left or right there. So those are arbitrary law. Are you following me? Depending on where you are. But the commandment that God has given to us, they are not arbitrary in the sense that it's not tied to where you are. It's not tied to who you are. Regardless of where you are, regardless of who you are, this commandment, they have come to stay. Do you understand what I'm saying? And God is saying that it is by this commandment that you will enjoy the kind of peace you so desire in your home. The only way to make our home a colony of heaven on earth is to adhere strictly to the commandment God has given to us. God designed that every family should be a mini territory of heaven here on earth. Are you following me? God expects that that's how family is supposed to be. A territory of heaven right here on earth. An embassy of heaven right here on earth. That is what God desires families to be. Your home to be. But God is saying that for that to be a reality, there are laws that you must obey. And that's why I have said this over and over again, that it is going to be absolutely impossible for anybody to forge a meaningful relationship, a lasting and a healthy relationship with anybody whose value contradicts the value expressed in the Ten Commandments. If anybody decides that my values are not accommodated in the Ten Commandments, I'm going to live with values outside the Ten Commandments that contradict the Ten Commandments, values that are not in alignment with the Ten Commandments. If you meet that kind of a person and you try to establish a home, ladies and gentlemen, it is an effort in futility. That home cannot be successful. Because if the commandment says thou shalt not steal, how do you think you can forge a healthy relationship with a thief? No, that, ladies and gentlemen, is a disaster that is waiting to happen. Whether he's still with gun, or he's still with pen, or he's still with computer, what else do they steal with? Regardless of how he steals, for as long as he's embracing values that contradict God's law, it's a disaster waiting to happen. You cannot. So if you don't know what to look for in a prospective husband or wife, let the Ten Commandments be your checklist. If the scripture says that you will not commit adultery and somebody chose to be immoral, are you following me? And you think that you can engage yourself with an immoral man or woman and still think you are going to raise a healthy family? You are living in Fool's Island. It's not going to happen. Your hearts will continually be broken. What I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, if we want a home that represents heaven here on earth, everybody must align themselves with the values that has been expressed through the Ten Commandments. They are meant for families. Meant for family. So if you don't know anything to look for, no matter how nice the man may be, because there are some nice men, no matter how beautiful the girl may look, if you don't know what to look for to know whether this one should be considered as a wife, this one should be considered, if you don't know what to look for at all, you have the 10 commandments for you to place on the ground and evaluate that person in line with the values of the 10 commandments. A person that knows nothing about honor will bring you to disgrace. A person. So they are not suggestions. They are not just God expressing an opinion. They are commandments. You cannot do without them. Are you with me? So the second command, we've talked about the first commandment, and then the second commandment is what we are talking about. The first commandment talks about false God, but the second commandment talks about false worship. Right? The first commandment talks about who to worship, but the second commandment focuses more on how to worship. And we capture it as no idols. That's what the second commandment is all about. Now, some of this, we now say, how do I obey this commandment? I'll tell you. Like I said, we won't be able to go through this. This is the part A of no idol, part 1 of no idol. Now, if I'm going to obey these commandments, there are 3 essential things, all right, that are required for anyone who wants to obey this commandment, as individual, as family. So, number 1, if you are going to obey this commandment, you must have an accurate concept of God. Your concept of God must be accurate. That's number 1 thing you need. Concept of God. Your concept of God must be accurate. And probably that's about the only one I will talk about. Then we'll pick up the rest some other time. Your concept of God must be accurate. An accurate concept of God is essential if you are going to obey the second commandment. Now, please, I'm sure you will agree with me that nobody likes to be misrepresented. I'm sure you know that. Nobody likes to be misrepresented. Now, listen closely. If you take a picture of yourself, or somebody take a picture of you, and you find out that that picture is not really fine, I'm sure you know that that's not the kind of picture you want to send into circulation. Is that what you do? If you are looking for a picture that you will put on your DP, I'm sure you are not going to put an ugly, that one you are looking like a baboon. You won't put that one in your DP. Is that what you will do? No, you don't do that. Because why? You feel that that picture is not representing you very well. You have been misrepresented by that picture. Sometimes when they want to do programs and they print out flyers and then they put my picture, it's maybe this, no, remove this picture. Say, put another one. Because I know. Because when you take a picture, you want the picture to look better than you, or at least look like you. That's the least. If it cannot look better than you, then let the picture look like you. You don't want to be misrepresented. And that's why good photographers, they will tell you, where there is beauty, we take it. Where there is no beauty, we make it. That's what they do. That's what a good photographer will do. Where there is beauty, they will take the beauty. But where there is no beauty, they will make the beauty. Some of your pictures that I've seen, I know it wasn't a taking, it was a making. So, nobody wants to be misrepresented. And that's why God is saying no idols, because that's what they do. They misrepresent God. Idols misrepresent God. Idols degrade God. Idols, they distort the idea of God. And God is saying no idol. Because you cannot look at an idol and have a proper concept of who God is. And God is saying that your concept of me must be accurate if you are going to actually obey the second commandment, your concept of God must be accurate. All right? Now, in this time and age, especially this century or this dispensation that we are in, that is one commandment that we will consider to be very irrelevant. Why will God be telling us that we should not worship idol? Maybe in the ancient time, this would have been okay. But now, why should we be told not to worship idol? Now, that's because you don't even understand the depth of that statement. Let me tell you something. You see, human is instinctively a worshiper. That's human. Instinctively, every human is a worshiper. See, the instinct to worship is as strong in man as the instinct to breathe. So when it comes to human, the question is not whether human will worship. The question is who they will worship. Because instinctively, man must worship. Now, here's the point. If man, therefore, does not have the proper and accurate concept of God, the heart of a man is an idol factory. It can always produce an idol out of anything for man to worship. That is the nature of man. The heart of man is an idol that can manufacture, it's a factory that can manufacture idol. So if man does not get the concept of God accurate, the heart of man will manufacture idols for man to worship. And we have so many idols that the heart of man has manufactured for them that they are worshiping today. By the time we are done, we see that there's a lot of idolatry that is happening to us. Somebody is in church, but is an idolater. Because he does not have a proper concept of God, so his heart has succeeded in manufacturing for him an idol that is currently worshiping. Now, many years ago, in Japan, you know this bird, albatross bird, they are an endangered species. So one of the things that was done in Japan to kind of, preserve this particular bird so that it can increase was they made decoy of this bird with wooden decoy of albatross bird, about 100 of them. And then they placed this decoy on an island in Japan, Uju Island. And then the plan was that with this decoy placed on this island, the real bird in the forest, they will see them and they will be attracted to them. And then all the real birds, the few ones remaining, they will come from wherever they are. And then they will meet. So when they now come together in the same community, they will now mate. You understand what I'm saying? They'll be able to mate together and then produce more of their kind so that they will not go into extinction. That was the idea. So they made 100 wooden decoy of albatross bird, and then just like they planned, behold, the birds were coming out from their hiding to the island. But you see, for 2 years they observed a particular bird that all this bird was doing was just to try to woo a particular wooden decoy. It was this wooden decoy he was attached to. He built a beautiful nest around this wooden decoy. And if any other bird tried to move around, it will fight them off. Every day, you will always see the bird standing by this wooden decoy. For 2 years, it was. And the researchers were surprised that even with the existence and close proximity of real bird, this one was still infatuated to wooden decoy. Now, you look at that bird and you say that bird is dumb. But there's something more tragic than that. And that's when human beings give their love, give their affection, give their attention to that which is no God when the real God is close within proximity. That's what we say. Because at the end of the day, what's an idol? An idol is anything that you love, anything that you trust, anything that you obey more than God is an idol. So, it does not matter how good that thing or that person may be in itself or himself. Those things may be good in themselves, but as soon as you begin to trust them, love them, and obey them more than God, even though in themselves they are good, they have become an idol. What is idolatry? Idolatry is when you begin to worship the gift at the expense of the giver. When you begin to deny the demands of the giver to satisfy the demand of the gift. Denying the giver to please the gift is what is called idolatry. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, there are so many idolaters in the church. There are quite a number of things that God has given to us as the giver, but we have turned around trying to satisfy the demand of the gifts that God has given to us at the expense of the giver that has given us those gifts. Idolatry is not more than that. God gives you a gift, and for the sake of the gift, God is suffering today. God is no longer getting from you what he ought to get from you, and the reason is because of what he has given to you. You are satisfying the demand of a gift at the expense of the giver. Oh, I wish somebody understand what I'm saying this morning. Do you know there are people who, before they got a job, these people will go all the way with God. These people never miss an appointment with God to fellowship before they got a job. As I'm talking right now, some of you need to start looking back and see yourself who you used to be. Before this, you prayed to God for this gift. Before this gift came, what manner of Christian were you? What was your level of involvement? What you call money today that you have? What was your level of closeness to God before this gift came? And then all of a sudden, the gift has come. Now God no longer gets from you the kind of fellowship, and the reason why he's not getting it is because he gave you a gift. If he has not given you that job, you will probably be in fellowship. Now he has given you your job, so the job now is the reason why God cannot have a time with you anymore. Idolatry is not more than that. What you call a shop has become a shrine. It's no longer a shop. Because you ought to be in God's presence while you are sitting in your executive chair. It's not a shop anymore. It's a shrine. If the job has not come, won't you be in his presence? And you think it's because you are highly placed? No. You think because your work is... There are people that are busier than you. There are people that are doing things that are deeper than what you are doing in the marketplace, but they don't joke with God. They recognize God is the giver of it. We will not deprive the giver just because of this gift. Forget it. It's not because you have so much to do. No, it's not. Stop rationalizing what is wrong. It's not. It's not your job that is so demanding. It's just priority. Recognizing that, listen, God is the giver. And I will not deny the giver what he demands just because someone to meet the demands of the gift. Haven't you seen people who no longer come to church anymore or come to fellowship regularly anymore? And if you ask them, they say, my children. And this same person, before he got those children, he will nearly sleep inside church. He will sleep inside church. He will do anything for God. Now God has blessed him with a child. And because of that child, and people have 4 children, they are still serving. It's only one he has, though. When you rob the giver to please the gift, it's idolatry. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is he hitting you? Yes. God cannot give us a gift and we make an idol out of that gift. No, sir. Cannot. He cannot. God did not give you a gift so that the gift can replace him in your life. That's not why he gives you a gift. Once upon a time you were single, now you are married. And now, why are you not into, my husband? You don't know my husband, though. My husband. I have to be cooking for him. Your husband, who gave you that husband in the first place? Who gave you? Why should God give you a gift? If you are a father and you give your child a gift. Sometimes you come home like this and then you expect that as you are coming home, your children should come around town to come and to come and greet you, and sometimes they get carried away. Maybe they are playing with their tab or they are watching TV. You go upstairs and you are hungry. The first thing you do, you put off that TV. Is that what you do now? You put up that, say, remove that tab. What are you doing? I'm priority. What I've given to you should not take my place in your life. What do you think God will do? When God gave it to you, He didn't give it to you as a replacement of Him in your life. I mean, we have seen a lot of people. In my little time, I have seen that. I have seen people who are single, they were very zealous. Only for them to get married. They can't even do anything for God anymore. I've seen people who, when they were still trusting God for promotion, for job, they were very serious for God. Only for them to get the promotion and the job. And then before you know it, they can't serve God anymore. They have become executive members. They cannot serve God anymore. And God is saying, idolatry is not more than that. You don't have to live in a stone age to be an idolater. Even right now. There are so many idolaters in church. And we keep giving excuses. We keep rationalizing. He says, it's my job, it's my this, it's my that. And even your boss is still serving God. Go read history. Go read history. Jimmy Carter was a president in America. Till he died, he was a Sunday school teacher. As president, he was a Sunday school teacher. When he stopped being a president, he remained a Sunday school. Till death, he was a Sunday school teacher. Who will be as busy? Who is more busier than a person like Jimmy Carter as president of America? And you keep telling us that you are busy is your job. God gave you that job. God give you that job. You cannot attend to your gift at the expense of the giver. No, sir. God's gift is not a replacement of God in our life. It's not. Stop worshiping the gift at the expense of the giver. That's idolater. Because it wasn't like that before. You were serving God. You are very zealous. Some of you midweek service before, you cannot miss. Now you've gotten a job. Say it's office job. Really? And God is washing in heaven. So how do you think God's going to be feeling? God will be saying, if I had known. If I had known, maybe I wouldn't have given him this job. Because God really knows that it is not the job, really. Because he gave that same job to some other people too. And the job didn't hold them back. He that has ear. I'm not speaking to you everything in my heart, but the one I've spoken. He that has ear, let him hear. Because it's a dangerous path to walk. When the gift takes the place of the giver, it's a dangerous path to walk. You see, in the Old Testament, there are three notable idols that they worship in the Old Testament. And do you know that those idols, they are still very much around today? People still worship them. A modernized way of worshiping ancient idols. We have devised new ways, new methods of worshiping the same old idol. I mean, if you know that in the Old Testament, they had what is called Baal. Have you heard of Baal before? Baal was one of the idols. Baal was the god of power and position. Right? And do you know that even now, Baal is still very much alive in our midst? The way people worship their power, the way people worship their position. Do you know that abuse of power in the place of authority is an evidence of Baal still around? Just because God gave you the opportunity to occupy a small position, and that small position comes with some power, you think you have become invisible? Have you not read Psalm 62 verse 11 that once as he spoke it, twice have I heard that power belongs to God? Have you not heard that God is the one that ruleth and reigneth in the fear of men, and he giveth it? He giveth it to who now? To whosoever. Don't you know that God that gives power can take power? And you think because you have power, you have become invisible? No, sir. That's worship of Baal. Look, no matter how high you rise, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Power is transient. Keep it simple. God can raise you to any height, but no matter how high you rise, keep it simple. Keep it simple. People still worship Baal today. Another god in the Old Testament that you know is called Astaroth. Have you heard of Astaroth before? is a god in the Old Testament. Astaroth is the god of fertility and sexuality. That's Astaroth. And that same god is still very, very much being worshipped today. Where Astaroth is worshipped, there will be pursuit of pleasure. There will be pursuit of self-gratification. There will be an idolization of self-beauty. Where Astaroth is worshipped. The worship of Astaroth today is what has sexualized our society. We are living in a hyper-sexualized society. Let me tell you something. The society is so terrible that there is hardly anywhere you turn to, you will be confronted with sexuality. Everywhere you turn to. Even the church is not a safe place. Everywhere you turn to, you put on your TV, no clean movie anywhere. They must introduce some form of sexuality into it. Try to listen to some song that people are hearing today. It's not clean a song, there's a form of sexuality. Publicity and adverts. They will bring up girls just to appeal to your sexuality when it was not even needed concerning what they are trying to. What is the connection between sexuality and data? Somebody wants to sell data and he has to appeal to your sexuality to buy data. What's the connection? Because it's a hyper-sexualized society that we are living in. Everywhere you turn to, you are coming from. You go to the marketplace, the same thing. You go to the mall, the same thing. And then you come to church and you see some half-dressed person going to church and thinking he's going to a club. You just dress anyhow. Sometimes when I go up there, I look down, I just wonder. This same person came from a house. Does he not have mirror? Did he look at himself? You just dress anyhow. Look, let me tell you something. Exposing what is not supposed to be exposed does not make you beautiful. It makes you look cheap. Doesn't make. If they are deceiving you in the name of fashion, that by exposing that aspect of your body, you are beautiful. No, it just shows that you are very cheap. Serious-minded person will not look at you twice. If a young man that is serious-minded is looking for a woman to marry, you are not an option. You only marry your like, hit and run. You don't hit and run motto. Those are the kind of people your life will attract. You can't come to church. So we try to now imagine, if you come to church and you dress like this, where ordinarily there's supposed to be some element of fear and decorum, and you dress like this, then what do you do when you go to places where God is not even there at all? Yeah, well, God is everywhere though, but there's some places that, God is not even the priority. So what will you do there? That is an indication of what is worshiping our society. You can be well dressed and still look very appealing and attractive. It's not about exposure of your body. No, sir. No, sir. And let me tell you, if you have to sell your body to sustain your living, you are working against the ordinances of God. Call it anything you want to call it. Call it prostitution. Call it hook up. Call it side chick. If it involves the selling of your body, all right, just to sustain, because that's what you do, to sell your body to sustain your life. Sustain your living. You sell your body, that is positioning yourself against the ordinances of God. It's a function of what is happening in our society. Worshipping of self. Self is a proud. Giromola, can't remember the name again. Giromola Savanora or something. It was a preacher of the 15th century. It was posted to a church. And then, when he got to that church, a Catholic church, of course. So when he got to that church, then he observed a woman, an old woman that comes every day to the temple, beautiful temple in Florence, Italy. The woman come every day, and she will kneel by the statue of the Virgin Mary, and do her prayers or whatever, and then walk away. And this man observed how consistent this woman has been. And then he called the attention of the priest that has been there before him. I said, wow, have you observed this woman? What a marvelous faith she had. That every day, she never missed it. She will come and kneel by this statue, and then she kept on worshiping. What a marvelous display of faith. And you know what the priest said? He said, don't be deceived. Don't be Deceived. He said many years ago, when the sculptor, when the sculptor came to carve the image of the Virgin Mary, the sculptor needed a model. He said it was this woman, when she was very beautiful, that modeled for the Virgin Mary. He said when you see her now, she wasn't worshiping, she was just worshiping what she used to be. It was her old beauty that she was worshiping, not that she was worshiping the Virgin Mary. And sometimes you come to church, you think somebody is worshiping, they are worshiping self. Self. Everybody just sees. I mean, how do you explain it? Somebody says worshiping God and is doing selfie. Father, I love you. Father, excuse me. That's not God anymore. Excuse me, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that's God. You want to worship God, you have already arranged. As I'm leaning now, please just be videoing me, so that you can create content to post on social media. That is not God, ladies and gentlemen. That is self-worship. That is self-worship. That is self-worship. And we see a lot of that. You come to God's presence, claiming to be worshiping God, but it's yourself you are worshiping. If you want to worship God, let's worship Him. 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 A lot of self-worship. Let's worship God. So when I stand here, ladies and gentlemen, I tell Mama, I say, every time I have the privilege to stand here, I stand with a lot of fear in my heart. I stand with a lot of awe in my heart. Because I know I am standing on the altar. This altar has space for only one person, and that person is not me. That person is God. Are you hearing me? So on the altar, it's not a place to show professionalism. On the altar, it's not a place to display skill. On the altar, we offer spiritual sacrifices when we are on this altar. If anybody wants to show skill, go create your own altar. But on this place, it's God that we worship in this place. You follow Him. That's why we stand here. You don't come and tell us how to do it. No, sir. When we are here, God is number one. If it is not God, let's forget it. Let's forget it. It's God that has to be here. That's why we are here. That's why we're here. What is all the essence making all the noise, and at the end of the day, God saying you have done nothing? What's all the essence? I'm not trying to please anybody. I'm just doing the thing that I'm doing because this is how God helps me to do it. I'm not trying to show up. No. I hide myself behind the cross, none of me but all of Him, that I might decrease and that He might constantly increase. That's how we worship God. So we don't come to God's presence and begin to show taking selfie and then now put it on social media. See the daughter of Zion worshiping God in the beauty of His holiness. Which God? You just finish worshiping yourself. Just finish worshiping. I'm not ruling out the fact that maybe while you are worshiping God, sometimes people just capture you without your knowledge. That's possible. Social media guys, they move around. And while you are worshiping God, and you can come across that kind of clip, you can post it. That's fine. But I'm saying that going to prearrange that we invited somebody to come and do worship here. He has arranged for the photographer. That are going to be. I thought he was worshiping, he was leading. The worship was leading. I didn't know he was doing video for his music. So this is wrong. Worshipping of idol still continue. And of course, you know the third one. The third common idol. Mammon. You know him? Or is he here? Is it him? Or is he here? He's a it. He's a it. Mammon. That's another God that is worshipped. And let me tell you something. Where there is mammon, where mammon is worshipped, there are certain things you will notice. Where mammon is worshipped, there's what is called avarice. Avarice is uncontrolled, insatiable desire for wealth. That's what is called avarice. Insatiable desire. When the person is worshiping mammon, he has in him a desire for money that cannot be satisfied. It's like you drink salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you get. When people are worshiping God, nothing satisfies them. No matter what you give them, it's never enough. And we see people like that. Another sign you see when people worship mammon is hoarding. hold back resources when they don't really have a particular need for it and they are not planning to give it out. Hoarding. So that hoarding, that tendency to hoard, has turned many homes into a museum. Because when you go there, you will see stuff of 1930, 1950. And begin to wonder, what's this thing doing in your heart? Then they will not tie an unnecessary emotional thing to it. He said, it was given to me by my grandmother when we were crossing River Niger. Excuse me. Give this thing out. You don't need it again. You don't need it again. Your house is not a museum. It's not a museum. Give it out. You just keep, you don't need it. You don't have need for it. And yet you won't let it go. And that thing can put smile on some people's faces. That thing can be a blessing to some family out there. Why keep it when you don't need it? Why? Clothes you don't need. Shoe you don't need. What are you doing? Is there a figurine? What are you doing? Give it out. Somebody need it out there. Be a blessing to somebody. Be a blessing to somebody. And then, of course, where mammon is worship, what you also see here is what they call rapacity. Rapacity is when you pursue money or wealth aggressively to the point that you don't care who is hurt in the process. Rapacity. And there are people like that whose pursuit for money has no control. They pursue money uncontrollably. And of course, the fourth one is materialism. Materialism when money is equated to life. And I'm telling you, there's more to life than money. Money cannot be everything. No. Even in church, in an attempt to preach prosperity, many people have projected materialism. Yes. Because they just think that everything is all about money. They think everything is all about money. No, life is bigger than money. Life is, Jesus himself, he declared in Luke chapter 12 verse 15, he said the life of a man, he does not consist in the abundance of things that he has. Look at that in the Message translation. Look at what he said. He said, speaking to the people, he went on, take care, protect yourself against the least bit of greed. Hear what he said. He said life is what? You cannot define life. Life is not defined by what you have. Even when you have so much. We don't define you by what you have. Life is bigger than, there's more to your life than what you have in your bank account. Life is more than money. Are we supposed to make money? Yes. But your life is not about your money. That's when you begin to live like that, then that is what is called materialism. When everything you do, money is at the center of it. Somebody wants to marry you. What you are looking at, what kind of car is he driving? Excuse me? That's why many of you are still here today. Because God has sent your husband a long time ago driving his leg, but you are looking for. Because it's about money. Where is he working? If he's not working in CBN, let him be working in NNPC. Just like all those short words, NNPC, CBN. Just like all those words, FIRS. You like all those words. But when somebody is saying he's working in Ministry of Labor and Productivity, what? Look, let me tell you something. If people that we met, if they had considered the money we have, many of us would have remained single today. What were we driving? What were we wearing? But we need you to see beyond now. It's not, money cannot be at the center of everything you are doing. Money. This is come something you can even do as a service. You are asking, what will you give me? What will you give me? Must they give you money for everything you do? Must they? Money cannot be at the center. You can't run your life with money being at the center. No. There is more to your life. They are great. Somebody posted something and I felt so terrible about it. And it was talking about the fact that, you need to run, you need to add to the way you are running around, the way you are looking for money, because you don't have a father that is rich. You need to be looking for, excuse me. And the way he projected, he said, don't just be praying, don't just be, you have to be running around. Though. And I began to understand what he's saying in between the lines. Is he trying to tell us to be diabolical in the pursuit of money? What he's saying? What's he saying? Is it that the pursuit of money no longer have boundary? As Christians, are you saying that we must be able to do anything possible just for the sake of money? Is that how we live our life as believers? Is that how we live our life as believers? Have you not read the scriptures? That better is little with peace of mind than a house filled with abundance where there is no peace. Have you not read that? What will you sacrifice just for the sake of money? What? I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, go make the money, get rich as much as you can, but there are lines you must not cross. Your life is much more than money. Let me tell you 3 things idols will do. If we don't heed this instruction, the implication can be very there. In Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 15 and 16, God made a statement. Look at what he says. He says, for your own good. Somebody say, for my good. Say it loud and clear. Say, for my good. Hear what he says. He said, this thing I'm telling you about idol, it's a serious matter. He said, and it's for your own good. He said, for your own good. Be extremely careful. Because you did not see any form on the day the Lord spoke to you after the fire at Horeb. Verse 16. Not to act corruptly and make an idol of yourself in the shape of any good. So God is saying, I'm warning you against idol for your own good. Now, why did God say it's for our own good? It's because he knows what idols will do. Once you make anything an idol, whether it's a graven image, is your job, is your children, is money, whatever you make an idol, God is saying that I know what they will do. And so for your own good, that's why I'm warning you against them. I'm warning you against them. The first thing idol will do is that idol will disappoint you. Idol will disappoint you. It will disappoint you. Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 14, look at what the scripture says. Idols will always disappoint. Hear what the scripture says. It said people who make idols. He said, what did he call them here? He said, people who make idols, they are not just stupid. They are what now? Don't forget the soul. People who make idol, they are so stupid. He said, they will be what now? Idols will disappoint you. You know what idols do? Idols, they always make promises more than they can deliver. That's what they do. You know, having an idol in your life is like trying to buy something online. Have you done online purchase before? I'm not calling names, but you see, when you see the picture online like this, what a shoe, my God, what a shoe. And it's so cheap, it's so cheap. Then you begin to dance around, you begin to rationalize it. And then you now place your order and drop your money. And then 2 weeks after that, the item arrives and you're excited. By the time you open it, you go and check what you order again. They say, excuse me, who ordered this? Who changed my order? It promises so much, but delivers so little. That's what idol, that's what they do. They will promise you so much. Promise you. You know, money is very deceitful. People always believe that the rich always land on their feet. It's a lie. It's deception. In Matthew chapter 13, verse 22, you know how he described riches? He called it deceitfulness of riches. Which means riches has the capacity to do what now? To deceive. You just think that you are invisible just because you have money. You just think you can do anything. But money fails. Money fails. Hear what he says. He said, he also that receives seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world, and what again? Deceitfulness of riches. Deceitfulness of riches. Riches has the capacity to deceive a person. He will deceive you. He will make you think that you are the Almighty. He will make you think that you are all in all. If you go to Genesis chapter 45 or thereabout, 45, 27 or 15 thereabout, maybe check that. Okay, 47, okay. Look at what it says. It says, and when, what happened to money here now? See, money has the capacity to fail. Look, let me tell you, money fails. There are events, there are situations that comes up that money will be silent. No matter how much money you have, it will not be able to speak. Look, let me tell you, if money speaks on every occasion, some people that are dead today should be alive. Because if it is about money, ladies and gentlemen, just name the amount. If it is about money for them to live, name the amount they have it to produce. But you see, they were faced with a situation that silenced their money. And I am telling you, ladies and gentlemen, putting your trust in money, ladies and gentlemen, is like doing online shopping. If we promise you so much but deliver so little, promise you so much. Thinking that because you are beautiful, look, if God doesn't help you with beauty, you will hit 30, you will hit 40, 50 is knocking on the door. And you say you are beautiful. And young ladies that may not even be. As a matter of fact, the question is at the end of the day, who is not beautiful? Because beauty is what now? Isn't it? As I am now, if you tell me that I am not beautiful, that's your opinion. That's your opinion. Because I know myself. When I look at myself in the mirror, that guy that I see every day, oh boy, I love that guy, man. I love that guy. So beauty. So you can't come and harass people and thinking that because of beauty, instead of people, some girls developing their capacity, they think their beauty will always open door for them. Develop your capacity. Have what it takes. Be able to compete with a man anywhere, anytime. That's what it takes to be a real woman. Don't just think because you're a fine girl, they will bypass you. They will so. No, sir. No, sir. What a man can do, a woman can do equal. I know what you want me to say. All right. So that's the first. So God says it's for your own good. Because God knows that the idol will disappoint you. Not only that, idols will dominate you. Once a thing becomes an idol in your life, it will dominate you. You see, idols, they have a controlling tendencies. When something becomes an idol in your life, it will control you. Don't just make anything an idol. Once that thing becomes an idol, it will control you. It will be the one leading you. Look at 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 2. It talks about how people, because of idol, when you were not born again, you have idols that were leading you astray. Look at what it says. He said, for you know full well that when you were unbelievers, he said you were often led. Are you hearing me? You were often led astray in one way or another by your worship of idols. It will control you. It will direct your path. It will lead you. And it will always lead you in the wrong direction. Idols, they have dominating destiny. See, what we call idol in modern times is called addiction. And when somebody is addicted to a thing, the element of his addiction becomes the controlling factor in his life. Yes. It will control you. It will control you. If it is sex that you are addicted to, it will control. You will just be acting like an animal. It will control you. And people will be saying, hold yourself, hold yourself. You can't hold yourself because something else is holding you. If money is what is controlling you, that's how you will be running endlessly for money. They have a controlling tendency. So God said, for your good, don't make anything an idol. Don't make it anything an idol. So idol, number one, it will disappoint you. Number two, it will dominate you. And then number three, idols will deform you. It will deform you. You see, that uniqueness that you have, that God has given to you, idols will take it away. You will look at yourself and you will not recognize yourself again. You will become a kind of a person that will be strange to yourself. You look at yourself and say, when did I become this kind of a thing? Because you see, you will always become like whatever you worship. Psalm 115 verse 8. Look at what, in fact, if you read that from verse 4, I'd love to read that from verse 4. Please give me that. Psalm 115. Look at what it says. This goes. Now, can we read this in NIV? NIV. Psalm 115 from verse 4 in NIV, please. All right. So you will see how God described idol and what idols we do at the end of the day. Please give me that Psalm 115 from verse 4 from NIV. We need to read that in NIV. All right. Now, look at this. He said, but their idols are silver and gold made by human hands. All right. Verse 5. They have mouth, but they cannot speak. Eyes, but they cannot what? See. Verse 6. He said, they have ears, but they cannot do what now? They cannot hear. Noses, but they cannot what? Smell. Verse 7. He said, they have hands, but they cannot feel. All right, feet, but they cannot walk, nor can they utter a sound with their... Look at verse 8. He said, those who make them with what now? They will be like them. They will be. So at the end of the day, this is where we are going. Anyone that makes an idol, it will eventually become like the idol. So that's your specialty, that's your uniqueness. That's your special person that you have before the Lord. You will look for it and you will not find it again. It will deform you. It will change you to a kind of person that God didn't design you to be. You will become far away from original personality that God ordained that you should be. And that's what is up. Many of us today, if you look at ourselves, you will see that you have changed. You have changed. You were not like this before. You have changed. You have changed. You have changed. And the change will not stop as long as this idol remains. As soon as idol make an entrance into a person's life, that person's life begins to alter. You will change. You will become a different person entirely. When you make money your idol, it will change you. I'm telling you something. You'll be pursuing deals that once upon a time they were not even interesting to you. It will change you. You'll be having conversations that used to irritate you before. You will now sit down and begin to enjoy such conversation. People that you don't want to associate before, they become your closest friend. Why? Because you are becoming what you are not supposed to be because you already have an idol. You will be going to places that you don't want to go because sex has become an idol in your life. It will change you. It will change you. It will change you. I'm telling you. You worship an idol, you will not be the same again. It will deform you. And in closing, idol will destroy. Idol will destroy. That's the ultimate. Idol will always destroy. You know, when you read that Exodus chapter 20 verse 5, one of the things God said in verse 5 there is that God says, I'm a jealous God. I'm a jealous God. God introduced him. He said, look, he said, thou shalt not bow thyself to them, nor serve them, for I am the Lord thy God. I am what now? A jealous God. That's God. In fact, God is not only a jealous God, God says, my name is jealous. So in case you are looking for names of God, add jealous to it. Exodus chapter 34 verse 14, look at what the word of God says there. Exodus 34, 14. It says, for thou shalt worship no other God, for the Lord, whose name is what now? Is a jealous God. That's to let you know how God takes that. And you know something. Idolatry is likened to adultery. It's likened to spiritual adultery. So if you read Ezekiel 23 verse 37, you will see that there. Ezekiel 23, 37. Please give me that. All right. Hear what it says. It says, they have committed what now? Adultery, and blood is in their hand, and with their idols, they have what now? With their idols, they have what? Committed what now? So they were worshiping idols, and God says that what they are doing is that what now? They are committing adultery. So idolatry is a spiritual adultery. Are you following me? And let me tell you something. There is no man, there is no husband who will just stand idly by and watch the wife being unfaithful to him. No. There is no man or woman who will do nothing when he is seeing the love that ought to be given to him being given to another person. And some people will go to extreme measure to show the level of their jealousy. And God is saying that I'm also not going to sit down and watch humans who are supposed to be devoted to me, show affection to me, carry all that devotion and affection, and then I'll give it to something else. It could be money, it could be their job, it could be their children. God said, I'm not going to sit down and watch the kind of affection, attention, and devotion that is supposed to be given to me. And just like a husband will not fold his hand and watch the wife give his love that is meant for him to another person. No, God said, I won't do that. And you know what God can do in his jealousy? Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 15 tells us that when God is jealous, there are certain things he can do. Look at what it says. It says, for the Lord your God is a jealous God among you. And because he's a jealous God, lest the anger of the Lord thy God be kindled against thee. And what will he do now? That's what he can do. That's what he can. So God in his jealousy can effect a destruction. So it's safer if you don't provoke him to jealousy. He can destroy both the idols and the worshiper. That's why anything that you love, obey, and trust more than God, you place that thing at risk. You place that thing as anything. Once you begin to make an idol out of a thing, you place that thing is at risk. Because when God in his jealousy strike, it will not just only destroy the idols, it will also destroy the worshiper. So the idol is what is worshipped, the worshiper is the one that is doing the worshiping. And God is saying that I am a jealous God. In my jealousy, there's a part of me that is always activated when I am jealous. That part is called the consuming fire. That's the part. And that's scary. That's scary. And that's what he said finally in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 15. Look at what he says. 24, sorry. He said, for the Lord your God is what now? A consuming fire and a jealous God. So the part of God that is always activated whenever he is provoked into jealousy is the consuming side of him, which can consume both the idols and the worshiper. So God says, for your own good, no idol. I commend you to God this morning and to the word of his grace.